Good evening and welcome to episode 8 of the podcast, The Nebraska Gentleman. I am your host, Nedu. Nedu Izu Ebunam. It is 4:42 on Friday, November 23rd, Black Friday. Today I'm surrounded by black people. It's a good day. And we are in Tuckahoe, New York for Thanksgiving. I came up here to visit my friend Sho. His mom sent out an invitation to us for Thanksgiving. We're very thankful for it. With my friend who will introduce herself here. And today's episode is on a word that nobody's ever heard me say out loud before. It is a powerful word to many and a word used often by many as well. It's a controversial word. And we're going to talk about it today. That word, it's the first time I think anybody's going to ever hear me say it, is there's two words. And it is nigga. And yeah. And then, so we're going to talk about that today. Not the just that one. And we're going to get other people's opinions. But first, before we do, I want the rest of the crew I'm with today to introduce themselves. Starting to my right.
My name is Cole. Based in Brooklyn, Nigerian also.
My name is Tobelliot. I'm also in Canarsie, Brooklyn.
My name is Agun, based in Brooklyn, Canarsie.
Cassius Clay, Louisville, Kentucky.
I'm Bassey from Southern California.
All right, so these are two of these people I've known since college and grad school in Massachusetts. Sho and Bassey, or Cassius Clay.
Thank you.
And these three other gentlemen, I met Tobey during Sho's graduation in May.
Yeah.
And then I met this weekend Cole and Aaron, although he goes by David at times, but
AKA David Banner.
yeah. And so who would like to start on their views on the word nigga? I can start if you guys.
Yo, he was mad nervous to say. He's like, "This is a word you've never heard me say.
Yeah.
Say it now."
And another thing, this
It
is a
now
podcast.
exiting my mouth.
I'm going to say it. I will say it now. It's coming.
I think maybe you should start because I think even just the setup kind of says that it is like a powerful word for you.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, you
Alright.
can say how
On
you
the
feel
floor
about it.
for us,
Yeah,
yeah.
And one thing I will remind people listening, these guys don't even know it. I forgot to tell them that this is a one-take thing. There's no edits. I like to be as natural and, whatever as you want to
Nice.
say. So my thoughts on it. I don't agree with... I just want to start off by saying with my white counterparts, my white friends, white people, I don't agree with any of them saying it at all. I know this is a term over the past year or two that's been kind of, for lack of a better word, appropriated by some of the black community for them to say it, white people to say it. But for me, when I think of a white person saying it, it gets me because it takes me back to a time when I was younger and often being the only black guy in a group of people, whether I was on a baseball team or conditioning or just in neighborhoods growing up. When one would say it would take me to, it would be used as a term to kind of put me down. And it's often today still a reminder for me that even though it isn't the ER, and I know the intentions of people saying it aren't to harm or be insulting, it just reminds me that it was a time in our history, and even still today, that black people are kind of seen as under less than the white majority, because they do have a word they can use to kind of put you down. There's nothing we can say to white people, in my opinion, that would put them down. I don't think cracker is an insulting word. That's my opinion.
Yes, that's your opinion.
That is my opinion. You're right. It is my
You
opinion.
don't know how other people feel about it.
That's true, but I don't think it has, in my opinion, the power that the N-word has. I mean, you can say bigger and bigger, but they're still the same word.
True.
they still have the same meaning. But this is coming from a person that grew up with a majority of white people around me. I had black friends growing up, but in terms of growing up in the communities I was in, it's predominantly white. And when you are the only black family or black person often in groups, you're already looked at. There's already a spotlight on you. But I understand it's different for people that maybe grew up in a majority of black community, or maybe was often said, I like to hear other people's opinions. And my view on this conversation is not to stay stuck in my own thoughts, but to also grow from it. I know we've had talks over the last couple of days, but I just think it's a great conversation to continue to discuss and for me to learn more about.
Yeah.
I'll go. So
what's your name again?
Aaron. So my background, I've been swimming for 12 years. I've been the only black kid on a swim team for 12 years. My background with it, I feel like the word nigga used by a lot of black people today, I look at it almost like slang. So I feel like that when it's used by us, we're looking at it as more of an endearing term, but it's used like slang. So when I see people not that like other people out of our race, but that are like out of our race but still down with our culture, say it, I don't get as mad, because I feel like when I see certain people that say it that are not black, I can feel if they're down or, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. It's almost like a vibe. So like, for example, like if I grew up, for example, like my boy Bobby, he is Chinese and white, but all his friends are black. He's grew up in East New York his whole life. So when I talk to him, it sounds very familiar to me because I've grown up on that side of New York too. So when he says the word nigga, it doesn't even like sound fake to me. Now, I don't know, it may be hard, like I see where you guys are coming from, because if he goes out of, our neighborhood and says it somewhere else, it might not be appreciated. So I can see, like, and a lot of people say, yo, you can't say it here, you can't say it here, but you can say it over there, and then you shouldn't say it at all, which is, I agree to that too. So if you feel awkward about it, then you shouldn't say it at all. But at the same time, I look at it like slang. So like I said yesterday at the dinner table, like, a lot of New York people use slang from other states. When people say no cap, like, I feel like you haven't grown in Atlanta. You're not part of that culture. And when you say it, I look at you like, I can tell like you're cringing sometimes, just a tad bit. Like, so if you're like, for example, I don't say no cap because I know I'm not from Atlanta. And when I say it, I cringe myself because I'm trying to be something I'm not.
So on that, then my question will be, I'm trying to get into the mind of our white friends then, because it sounds like you feel like you can't say that word. How does that feel for you, feeling that you can't say word just because you're not from there?
I don't get mad.
Do you feel like held back?
I don't feel mad at all. I feel like everyone is different. I'm not like anybody else. No one's like me. So like, based on his experiences and how he grew up, it's cool. I feel like we can still vibe, but we don't have to necessarily talk the same way. You know what I'm saying? Like I go to, like, for example, I work in CBS radio and I go there, and my colleagues, they talk a different way from me. I mean, necessarily I didn't grow up talking like that, but like, just because we talk differently doesn't mean we still can't like get along and do the work. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Same thing on like my sports teams. Like, all the white kids, most of them grew up in Far Rock, totally different from Canarsie. But and I still talk the same way to them. Still talk slang to them. And they're still cool with that too. And they talk to me like however they grew up, and we still won games, still meets, still won meets, and we're still cool to this day. We still keep in touch. Like, there's no barrier that prevents us from. But you know what's funny? Like, they didn't grow up like that, so they don't say that word, and I respect that. But then I have white friends that grew up in that culture. That to be honest, they're like, I'm not trying to compare like, oh, you're more hood than this person, I'm more hood than you. But some of these white people that grew up in these neighborhoods, they've been through a lot. They've dealt with drugs. Like, their families dealt with drugs, and like, when they say the word nigga, it's almost like you're about that life, and I can tell that. So it's like, that's cool with me. But then at the same time, people that haven't experienced that, or like haven't grown up around people saying that a lot, then I mean, if you don't feel comfortable saying it, don't say it. If you have to think about it, if you have to think about anything before you say it, then you shouldn't say it. You know what I'm saying? If you can say something that comes off naturally, then say it. I feel like you should always speak your truth. But just because I say you should always speak your truth doesn't mean you shouldn't think before you talk. I'm not. See what I'm saying? I'm not trying to agree with Kanye right here. I think Kanye should speak his truth, but he should really think before he talks, and you should be prepared to deal with the consequences for speaking your truth.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? We're all adults. That's my take on it.
I think
Just your name and I want to do age too.
My name is Tobelliot, and age too.
Yeah, that's what that
also-
was.
22.
My name is Aaron. I'm 25.
Alright, back to me. I'm Tobelliot, and I'm 22. He just wanted to say his age.
That's it. Sorry.
But I grew up in Lagos, Nigeria, so I didn't really have any kind of real connection to the history of the word nigga, even though I was exposed to it through American entertainment, which is like the biggest entertainment industry in the whole world. So like through the like hip hop music and all the movies, you get exposed to the word, but you don't really know the real like significance of it, or the real significance of how slavery kind of affected people outside of Africa. But then coming here, it was kind of like coming to the US, it was kind of like an indoctrination into kind of getting closer to the history of the people that it affected. And I kind of, in a way of like finding some kind of identity in the US, I like gravitated towards black people. So like that was my first taste of like, oh yeah, we were totally oppressed when we came through here, and that word is like hurtful. And it's so funny because when I grew up, like everyone was just like Bolaji, or like everyone was just their name because everyone was black in Nigeria. But when you come to the US, everyone is kind of like, it's kind of framed in a way where when people just look at you, they're just like, okay, he's white, so he has this set of values, and he's black and Asian, so he has this set of values, and people are just constantly like prejudging people before they actually get to listen to the person speak. So that was like kind of my first initial, was like I was prejudging a lot of people because like, oh, I identify as black, so that means I take on all the oppression that I didn't grow up with when I was in Lagos, but I take it all on myself, and now I'm constantly like, oh, when someone says nigga, I just like twitch, even though that didn't happen to me when I was back home in Lagos. So
that's a good point.
I think it was when I got into college and I was just getting exposed to like different, because college was really challenging in like just the classroom aspect of it. And I had this literature class where my teacher basically pulled out books from like the 1950s where white writers used to literally write nigger with an ER in their books, and just was like, hey, it's okay, it's like they're niggers, so whatever, we'll publish it. But I was still in that mindset of I'm black now, so like if this white person thinks he's gonna say nigga, I'm not cool with that. And I sent him like an email and shit. I was like, yo, I'm not cool with you saying nigga. And he was basically like, if you don't want to come to class, you can stay at home. And I thought about it, I was like, why is the potential of this person saying that word not letting me progress? And I was like really thinking about it, I was like, that's really not my problem. Like it shouldn't affect what this person could potentially say, shouldn't affect me just being able to navigate in my life. So I just went to the class and he said the word and I was like, okay, you said it, it's a word. I moved on and I passed. So like right now I don't use the word as much. Even when I'm like writing songs, I used to say it a lot because naturally hip hop is a word. In hip hop they just use that word like nigga. Just is like
there are songs
mouth,
just like that.
YG.
Yeah, basically.
YG.
Yeah, he has a song, my nigga. It's like, I don't know how many times he uses the word in that fucking song.
I think it's Rich Homie Quan. I think
There's
it's
a record.
Yeah, record. My nigga. Yeah,
No, I
it's Rich
think
Homie.
it was YG.
I think
it's
both
one-
of them are in the song. YG and Rich Homie Quan.
Yeah,
I'm
that's
not
true.
sure.
That is true.
We gotta
What was the
fact
word
check.
now?
Fact check later.
No, that's true. Rich Homie is definitely in that song. But I like even right now when I write songs, I'm just like, there's probably a better word that I can use instead of that, because it's like, at the same time, I sometimes just use it casually because it's like, hey, fuck it, like.
It sounds good with this
It
one.
does, and it's
It rhymes.
It's like it's the word itself is seductive.
So empowering.
It's like a sexy word, honestly, and I can understand why people, even though they're not black and they have no connection to it whatsoever, they would actually want to still use it. But where I'm coming from, I'm not too offended when people say it, and I feel like when people say it after just seeing me and not really knowing me, it's just to provoke me. So I don't let them have that satisfaction of provoking me. And also, I think there are words that you can use for any kind of race of people that would disrupt them depending on the individual, regardless of what color, or anyone coming from anywhere can be offended by anything that you say if you're meaning to disrespect them or put them down in any way.
That's true.
That's what I feel.
That's true. And yeah, I think whether it was intentionally or intentionally put that way, going back to what I said about the word cracker with white people, my point is that, yes, you were right, Aaron, like, that's how you're offended is how you take it. I can't tell you how you're supposed to feel about a word that I tell you. How you take it is the offense. But for me, I guess what I was trying to say is the power behind it, if you ever had to compare. Not that we should be comparing.
Oh, right.
No.
Yeah, no.
But
nigga is
my
a very
point.
powerful word.
Okay,
Yeah,
I just want to put it out
right,
there.
yeah.
And I do want to touch on, after everybody gets the chance to speak, if they'd like to, on this first part, just their opinion about the word nigga, that I would like to talk about also it in lyrics and at concerts when it's said, because the majority of audiences are white at rap concerts, at least the mainstream artists. And then the second thing I want to talk about is relationships. If you're in an interracial relationship, how you feel about your significant other. So we're going there.
Yeah, we're going
So
there.
Cole World.
Damn,
Name and
that's
then your
great.
age. If you like to go.
Cole, 27. I share the same sentiment as Tobe. Cause I didn't grow up here. I grew up like in Lagos as well, and then I came here at 16, and then it definitely wasn't like a terrible word to me, like, because I didn't like grow up with the knowledge of the oppression and everything, like, and then when I got here and I noticed, like, obviously, like, black people were, like, really, like, pissed off when people said the word, and I figured, oh, I'm black too, so I should be pissed off too, so I started, like, trying to be mad, like, when I heard it, so, like, a white person say, and then, like, at some point I realized, like, I'm just being fake, like, I don't, for some reason, I didn't sympathize enough with them to be able to be as mad as they usually get. So I started reading up on stuff and just learning about the history, and then it made more sense to me. But honestly, I still don't feel a certain way. Like, it doesn't, like, affect me, unfortunately. Like,
It's not you.
It doesn't mean, like, if people say it, I'm gonna be like, smiling with them. I'm still not gonna be like,
Yeah.
But it just wouldn't make me like want to fight anybody. Like, I'm just looking at you like, you're ignorant and you're like, you wouldn't get a reaction out of me. Like, you wouldn't get the reaction that you want from me. And then, and it's just based on, like, where I'm from, and, like, how I grew up. And that's kind of my.
Well, also say, I feel like it's experience. Like, I feel like everyone's experience is different.
Mm-hmm.
For example, it's also like, when people deal with racism. For example, like, I got pulled over by 3 cops. I got pulled over by a cop 3 times. Some other people would take that very seriously. Like, they would take it very seriously. Like, they're like, oh my God, that's completely racist. You got pulled over by a cop in Jersey. But I feel like my experiences weren't so bad. So I can't relate. You know what I'm saying? Like, for example, if someone's family member got shot by a cop on the street, like a racist cop, that's totally different. Their experience is different than mine. So they could, like a white person saying the N-word for them might be more dramatic or, like, traumatic. Mm-hmm. Where me, it's like, I never had that experience, so I can't really relate. But then at the same time, I could do my research and still, try to understand him. But at the same time, I've never been in that position. So I really can't relate. Yeah. So me trying to get mad and, like, trying to feel, it's like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I can feel for you and I can understand where you're coming from. But I'm not going to lie to who I am just to get mad at that person. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like sometimes a lot of, our fellow black people, they get mad because, like, oh, you're black and you're not getting mad at this person. But at the same time, it's like, I'm not saying I want to be through that. I don't ever want to go through that experience. And I don't want to say I'm ignorant too. Because at the same time, it's like, I've never been through that experience. I can't feel what you feel. know what I'm saying? Like, for example, if someone lost, like I lost a parent, you can never, like someone couldn't understand that because they didn't lose a parent. So I don't expect them to understand what I'm going through. That's me. But you know what I'm saying? Everyone's different, so.
Yeah, and I think you two are giving me such a different perspective and a new perspective that I appreciate, because I hadn't thought about two black men coming from a country and then coming to America and then just not having, like the words you were using, like the oppression, really understand until you came here, and then that's when you really understood it, and like not wanting to be fake about it, but keeping those feelings natural. Kind of like what you were saying, like I hadn't gone through some of the things other people have said, so I'm not gonna fake like I have. But I think it's, for me, recognizing like having empathy for somebody who has, but you don't have to take it on yourself. Right. That's a good point you three made.
I mean, recognize that they're trash for saying that, but I can't force myself to be like angry and
Yeah. But yeah, I think a good point you made that I really wanted this to be about is the experience to shape us to feel how we do feel about the word being used. So.
Yeah, like I have mixed feelings. Huh? Bassey, 29.
Follow her on Bees2889.
Was that your AIM name?
That's her Instagram account.
No, no, like I have mixed feelings about the word because I grew up in predominantly white Asian neighborhood and community, and went to predominantly Asian white high school. So a lot of people didn't really say the words around me, and I don't know if it was because of the fact that everyone was just kind of on that same playing field of like it's just not a word that you use. But I kind of agree, like I don't think it should be a word that's used, but I also recognize that it's something that's in the media and popular culture. I know we're going to talk about that later, but I think that's what makes it hard and confusing as to like, okay, so then what is the right time or whatever to use that word if it's being used. I personally don't like the word. I think when I was going through like an identity thing, I like experimented trying to like using the word, and it just didn't feel right. It didn't sit right. And I, like kind of like how you were talking about being in the experience. Yeah. Like it just doesn't sit right. So like, why even bother trying to be something that you're not?
Exactly.
So I know my brothers have had people call them that, and that's their experience, and I don't know what that's like to be called that directly. I'm sure the only time I've really experienced it has been like clubs and whatnot, which I'm sure we'll get to, but like for me it's irritating because I almost feel like there's eyes on me just to like see what that reaction will be, and then I can't really do anything about it because it's in the song, and
or you'd be seen as that angry
person
too.
Exactly. And I've worked I used to work at a movie theater in college, and there are people there who would say the word all the time, but like within like song lyrics or whatever, and I finally had to be like, can you just not say it around me? Like, because I can't control what they do outside of whatever, when I don't see them. But, like, at least, like, within proximity to me, like, just don't say the word. Like, whisper it if you have to. But, like, I just don't want to have to hear it kind of thing.
Yeah.
Because, I just, like, there's just something that just doesn't sit right with me. And it just, I don't know, it brings up so much. Even though I don't have, like, personalized experiences towards it.
Yeah. I think what you just said, it brings me back to so my experience, and then we can talk about, like you were saying, the clubs and concerts. For me, I'll never forget in high school, I was with a group of my friends at the time. We're not friends anymore, really, but we were connected through baseball, and we're going to Taco Bell. Taco Bell was like the place to be on like the weekends.
The spot.
Yeah, and it was in West Omaha, which if you're not from Omaha, it's like divided in certain ways. If you want to use the word segregated, I guess. I don't really like to use that term though, but West Omaha is predominantly white people, white communities. North Omaha is predominantly black. South is predominantly Latino. So this is in West Omaha. The only black person in the group at this time. Walked into Taco Bell. It's a very cold night. We're all wearing hoodies. And this guy, older gentleman, I think I was a freshman at the time. These guys must have been seniors or even older. Kept saying, hey, like trying to get our attention, or I guess my attention. Ignored him. because I knew if I gave him attention, something would happen. Walking to the car, I was very nervous because I know at this time I was like, okay, they're going to try to definitely get my attention this time. It failed the first time. What are they going to say this time? And then one of them screaming, hey, nigger. And
you sound like Joe Biden when you say that.
And he's just repeating it, and they're laughing as a group. They're just laughing. And my group of friends, like, when something crazy happens, you just like, wow, that's crazy. Yeah. But at the same time, they're white, so they don't get it. So I'm sure they're laughing kind of with him at the time, like, because they couldn't believe it too. And it's just, it puts you in like an awkward position. Like, you feel humiliated when that happens to you. So for me, that's just one experience that whenever I even hear nigga used, it just brings me back to that moment of being so helpless. And because, of course, if I were to retaliate with these guys, like, there's nothing I could do. When you're a freshman, you don't think that these people are ignorant, because that's not really a word you think of when you're a freshman. Yeah. But now that I'm older, looking back, if that were to happen again, I might have the fighting mentality, but act on it, I definitely wouldn't, because I have too much to lose now that I'm an adult. Too much going for me. And again, that person wins because they are getting that response from you.
Exactly.
Like you were saying, Tobe.
Yeah.
So, but back then, when you are young and when you're a freshman in high school, everything, and high school in general, you think so much about yourself and how you look. Popularity, reputation's a huge thing. You just overthink about things like that. So at that time, like, my night was just like, damn, that these guys who I thought would respect me as a group of friends, they probably look at me like, I don't know. And of course, at that age, you're not thinking of race and like how these things in the world really happen, especially if you're a white person who hasn't really had that many black friends in the first place. So it's definitely an interesting moment in my life. So when I do hear it often, even in the terms of friends saying it in lyrical content, I get it, because if you know all the lyrics to a song, you want to sing the whole song. I get that. But my opinion, I'm going to open it up to all of y'all, is what do you think of it, especially like at concerts? Do you think that or in this car, that white person should be able to say it? Or do you think they have the green light to the acceptance or the card to be able to say because it's in the song? In my opinion, I think, for me, I don't even say in a song. I bleep that out. I always look for clean versions or stuff, because I always think of like, I know it's pissing some people off, but I'm like, I think of like my kids too, like when I get older, and I think of like, if they have to go through what I did,
got it,
and not being able to do anything as a dad, that's what hurt me. Like you said, your brothers. I think of my youngest sisters, like, I don't know if they had to deal with that, but the thought of me, like even thinking my youngest sister, a freshman in college, if she goes through that now, it hurts me, because I can't do anything, and I know she wouldn't do anything. And the fact that she can repeatedly go through it without anybody helping her is what hurts me the most when I think of that.
I think with songs, I think that's what people think, that's their excuse. Like, okay, it's in the song, so
and
like,
that pisses me
why?
off even more.
Yeah, but I think like it's not so much that I'm thinking that it's or a pass for them, but I think that's what people typically think. Like, okay, it's in the song, so I can sing it, and y'all can't get mad at me because it's in the song, it's in the lyrics.
I think it's for me, the way I look at it, I look at intent. Like, if they're having a good time, we're all singing, and then it pops out, I'm not gonna be like, hey, like, yo, turn that down. What'd you just say? Like, I'm not gonna be like, yeah, that's not who I am. So like, it's the intent. Like, if your intent was because we're having a good time and your vibe, but if you're like singing and you look at me, nigger, and then go back to this song, like, I was like, all right, you wild. So it's all about intent. Like, but
like at a concert,
for example, this past year I've been to mad concerts. I seen Kyle in person with my girlfriend. We were on stage. You seen it? We were on stage. We were, and we gave Kyle a pound or whatever. It was mad fun. He said the word nigga. My girl loves Kyle, so like that was a big thing for her. But she didn't say the N word. But at the same time, like I respect that. But at the same time, like if my girlfriend had said the N word, and she's this is my girlfriend's Spanish in the time. If my girlfriend had said the N word, I'm not gonna look at her and be like, yo, you know what I'm saying? Like it wouldn't affect me because I know her. Like I know who she is. For example, like the situation I gave you about the cop. When we got pulled over by the cops, my girlfriend took that to the heart. Like she started crying and she was really mad about that. Me, I didn't care. But at the same time, because like it didn't bother me, but it really bothered her. So I feel like it's experiences. That experience for her, I feel like she got really mad and it kind of changed like kind of like I flipped the switch in her. So like when racist things happen to me, she takes it really hard. Like, you know, takes it to the heart. For me, it's like at the same time, like I haven't had an experience that has like directly affected me yet. Like I feel like the cop was being racist, but in my head it's like, yo, I want to go home and eat some food, bro. Like I'm ready to get out of here. But she was crying in the car and like she took it really hard. So I guess it's like I said before, I guess it's really experiences. Like if something, if like I can understand where she's coming from and I can sympathize with her and I can understand, like I had to talk to her like, yo, it's not that, I mean it's serious, but you know, we can't let this affect our night.
But I think but you're looking at it from a different lens. Like you've had however old you are, that's been your life, that's been your experience. Like not that it's been directed at you all the time, but like you're used to like hearing about things and seeing that kind of thing. Yeah. She probably didn't have that kind of experience growing up.
Got it.
Or did, like, you know, like how we talk about in our classes, like there are people who don't have those experiences, so they don't have to think about it, they don't have to worry about it. But then when it happens, they're like, wait, what?
Yeah.
Like,
and it's more believable.
Yeah. And if it's in the moment or whatever, it's more believable that okay, like this really does happen. But like if you see it on the news, it's like okay, like I see it on the news, I get enraged for like 5 minutes, and then you move on.
Yeah. And with what you said about the music, I have over the past year gotten better with that. Like being okay, like if it does slip, I'm more like forgiving and kind of brush it aside. Yeah. Whereas before I get angry as hell inside, but I would internalize. I wouldn't tell anybody. It would ruin my night, like you were saying. Right. But now I try not to let that. But with what you said, we can talk about this a little later. You just said if your girlfriend said it in the context of a song, you'd be like, you wouldn't look at her and like get pissed. However, if it was in a conversation, she's talking to a friend,
that would be very different.
Okay, be different. Okay,
that would be very different because that's not who she is. Like, you know what I'm saying? She doesn't talk, or like, how can I say, like, even though she's down with my culture, she doesn't talk like a lot of people that I know from like, you know, that are really, really down with their culture. So that's not who she is. Okay. Now, if she said that in a conversation, I would get more mad because not only is it like, I guess, you know, it'd be kind of offensive. That's not who you really are. So now you're just being fake. You know what I'm saying? Now I know you're trying to be down. So like when I started dating you, I started dating you for you. I started dating you to be more like me. You know what I'm saying? I've dated you so you can understand me, not be like me. Yeah. Right. You know, we're still different people. Like, I'm not gonna like, but by all means, she speaks Spanish fluently. I would love to learn Spanish. I would love my kids to know Spanish if I did have kids with her. But at the same time, I'm not gonna learn Spanish because I want to be down with her family. Yeah. I just want to learn Spanish because I would love my kids to learn that language, and I would love to know what they're talking about. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like I would love, like, if I hear her grandpa speaking, her grandpa doesn't know how to speak any English. Yeah. So like that's a barrier between us. Like I can't sit down and have a conversation with her unless she's not there. Yeah. So I would love to sit down and speak with parts of her family that can't speak Spanish. I'm not trying to learn Spanish because I just want to be down. Like, oh, like when we go out, we all speak in Spanish. Like, no.
So you think it's more practical?
Huh? It's more like to cut that barrier. And like a lot of people in her family don't know how to speak English. A lot. Like, not in her immediate family. Everyone in her immediate family knows how to speak English. But I'm talking about like her family in Florida. Besides the aunt and the uncle, everyone else in that house don't know how to speak English. Like the grandpa doesn't know how to speak English. So there's this aunts in there that don't know how to speak English, and I can't have conversations with them at all unless she's there. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So it's like it's more on like, okay, I love your family. I love what your family has done for me, and I love how like close we are. So in order for me to get closer to your family, I need this barrier to go away. That makes sense. I'll be on the train doing Duolingo, like, you know what I'm saying. I'll do what I can to like cut down that barrier.
Yeah, because you want to connect more with the person's family that you love. That makes total sense. And you make a good point. Maybe that's another reason that used to anger me, and still does when I think of the people that have said it to me, is because they weren't a part of that. They have no reason to ever have even used that word in a way.
But they want to feel more relatable to you.
Exactly. But that's not how.
You know what I'm saying? You don't have to feel more relatable to you. We can still be cool. With your own culture. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, there's been times where like I like, for example, I have a bunch of white friends. Now, I will say one thing that I feel like that's rubbed off on me from like hanging out with the word bro. I feel like I say bro in every sentence. And I feel like that's not because I'm trying to be down with them. I feel like just being around them for so long, I've literally started saying the word bro in every sentence. Like, and I feel like I say it to my boss. I say it to my friends.
It's
like
BOSS, not BRO.
I say it to my friends. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's just something that hanging out with them rubbed off on me.
Yeah.
But it's almost like subconscious. Never like, I'm going to say the word bro now because they're saying it. And I feel like I feel more relatable to them. It's just like, just hanging out with a person for a while, and like it's almost like you look at it from a white person's perspective. Hanging out with black people for so long, it almost becomes like subconscious.
And that's with anybody. Like if I were to hang out with Tobe like every day or more times in the month than usual, you're gonna take on parts of that person because you're with them often. It makes sense.
Yeah.
And that's with teams too.
Like,
but moving on, Tobe, what do you think about music and concerts? And
I think if you.
Because this got brought up with Kendrick at a concert, right? Remember that one?
Recently, yeah.
That lady got on
the girl he
stage.
brought on stage.
Yeah.
But at the same time, don't you feel like that's Kendrick's fault? That's not
Right? Like you're just
No.
Huh? No. I feel like both are to blame. I feel like both are to blame. But at the same time, I do feel like that's all. It's almost like if we're gonna make music for the masses and we want everyone to buy our albums, we want to sell music, we want to sing at concerts. Like, you know what I'm saying? For example, if we want the kids to change, then we have to stop singing about drugs. You know what I'm saying? We have to stop singing about drug use. We have to stop singing about lean. We have to start singing about certain things. So if we want, at the same time, we want white people to stop saying the N-word, then maybe we shouldn't put it in our music. You know what I'm saying?
I see where you're coming from.
You know what I'm saying? We can't be like, okay, stop singing about drugs, but keep saying the N-word. It has to be like, it has to be fair. It has to be like a fair playing field. We can't say if you don't want kids to say the wrong things in our music, then we can't say the wrong things in our music. Like, I don't feel like we could just like, oh, this is just acceptable, but you know, this is completely wrong.
I see where you're coming from, but at the same time, I understand that perspective of like, if we keep doing it, then people are going to try and emulate that. But I also feel like people that are gonna commit crimes or do the things that are wrong are just gonna do it anyway, regardless of what we actually do.
That's true.
So like, if a white person, because before even hip hop music, white people were saying nigga.
Yeah.
Before hip hop music made it even more popular and more like, even more, I kind of think safer.
Yeah.
Like that, like anyone can do it because you just came over and you listen to a few songs and you're like, oh, nigga is this word, and it's like, it's nothing. It doesn't have the weight that it used to have in like the 1860s, where people were actually getting pushed into the dirt and like fucking called ER nigger.
Yeah.
But I think that people that are gonna just like do bad shit are just gonna do bad shit, and that's just how they are. And if I do think that artists have a responsibility to just not kind of incite it too much. Like, don't tell them to just fucking OD on Xans or just like disrespect people for the sake of doing it. But I also think that artists, when they make songs, they're speaking from their experience.
Yeah.
So if they grew up in the drug surrounded nigger word using environment, they're gonna talk about that in their song.
So, Tobe, you said earlier when you write music, and you said you don't use it as much, but you still do. What if you had a fan, it's like a listener online, saying, I love your music, I made a video for you, here's my cover of me doing your lyrics, and they said, how would you feel? A white fan.
I don't think Tobe
If that fan was like
down with
like
music,
genuine, if it was a person that actually knew what I was about, and not just taking that little part of the song where I said nigger and just like inflating it into this big race war in America.
Like, he had a drop.
Yeah,
like the beat just dropped when you said
it's
it.
just nigger, and then ends the video. What did you think? I'm your biggest fan. Like, if he did that, I'd be like, oh, please just stop following me. But I mean, I don't think, like, if someone does a cover of my song and they say the N-word and they're really a fan,
You'd be
I won't
fine.
mind, yeah.
Okay.
And even at concerts, I feel like at concerts, everyone should be allowed to just sing along to the song, because that's why everyone paid money to be there. And everyone just wants to have fun and just be fine. There's some people that are going to try and incite shit even at the concerts.
Yeah.
But those people would
Get
do
kicked
that.
out.
They would get kicked out,
Get
and they would
kicked
do
out
it
by artists.
even not in that concert environment.
Like, I feel like
That's just how people.
that's
Some
so
people
true.
are. Some people are just bad.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like as Kendrick Lamar, like, I feel like what the girl did was wrong, But at the same time, you can't get so mad at the girl and embarrass her on stage if you're enabling it. You know what I'm saying? Like I feel like that's when I saw that on Hot New Hip Hop, I was like, wow, she's wilding. But at the same time, I was like, come on, Kendrick, you ain't gotta go. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't like I was just mad at her. I was mad at both parties. I was like, damn, bro, you just embarrassed her in front of everybody.
Can you tell people what the situation was?
Okay, so basically at the Kendrick, I think it was a Top Dog tour, and there was a white girl that he brought up on stage and made her sing the lyrics. But at the same time, I kind of felt like, Kendrick, you know what song you're making her sing. You know your lyrics. So it's like, you're putting her in an awkward position. You're putting her in a hot seat. So maybe she could have bleeped it out, or she could have said it because she was nervous. Like, she don't know what she's doing. But at the same time, I kind of felt like she didn't know what she's doing, because when Kendrick stopped the song, he was like, yo, and she looked at her like, what did I do? I'm like, you know what she did. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I think the opposite. I think she was so much in the moment.
And that could be true, but at the same time, I feel like Kendrick, at the same time, you chose this song, so you want her to sing the lyrics, so she's singing all your lyrics.
Or he could have been trying to see if she... or he could have been trying to see if she would have even gone there. If
but
she
at the
had
same time,
the wherewithal.
Don't you feel like that's like me giving Toby a gun and pointing it at Showman, being like, and then when you click, they're like, why'd you shoot?
So that is weird, but you also assume that because he's an adult, he would have the maturity to understand.
True,
but as an adult, to make his own decision.
True, as an adult, I wouldn't even put the gun in his hand. You know what I'm saying?
Guns and lyrics.
You know what I'm saying?
But, okay.
I would put the gun in his hand. Like, as an adult, why would I even put the gun in his hand? Like,
if I know it has the potential.
If I know it has the potential to go off and shoot him in the leg, like, I won't put the gun in his hand at all. So that's what I'm saying about artists. Is like, yeah, we get mad at people, you know, trying to say like the N-word, but at the same time, we're enabling it. You know what I'm saying? To a certain extent, like, that's not only the people's fault, that's also our fault as a race, as a culture. You know what I'm saying? Like,
so my last question for the podcast, and I want to get Cole and Bassey's opinion before we go on to that last part, is do you think the word will ever be terminated from rap?
No.
I mean, that's a no, but go on.
Nah.
All right, Cole, go ahead. What do you think about the lyrics being used at concerts, musics? Or if you two have anything else to say before we move on to the next stuff?
I already said my piece.
Yeah, I don't really have a take on it. I think it just depends on like who the performer is and what he. If you perform something and people come to see your songs, like that's what you sang. So it's like it's up to you if you want them to sing your song or not.
And your guys' opinion on this has kind of made me change, because I'll be honest, like going to the Kendrick concert, I didn't care to go. I think I told you guys this today. I really didn't care to go because of how I would feel. I was sitting by myself, by the way. I didn't have a friend next to me. None of my friends wanted to go to the concert. I had one extra ticket. My two friends that did, there were a couple. They sat in different seats. I got these tickets like an hour before from another friend who got upgraded to box. And I was thinking like, but when it actually happened with the lyrics, when I was actually in the concert, I didn't think about it too much. And the points you guys are making are really making me think too, like, it is a part of the lyrics. These people are fans of the artist. They wouldn't have bought the tickets. They really didn't respect them. But I just think too, like, if you're going to say it, then like, how do I, like with that lady, you're just assuming that she says it in the lyrics and she never has any ill will intent talking to her white friends only about some black kids on campus. Like, oh, those damn, you know? Like for me, if you do ever say, like, I automatically think you are somebody that talks shit about other races, because I've been around white people that are like that. They think because I'm the nice guy that they have that acceptance to say that word and that I won't do anything. And then I've heard them also say stuff about other people, whether it be about other races or specifically my culture, black females, black men. That's where my attitude about the word comes from, because I know that those people who have said it also have these ignorant thoughts outside that word.
I could see that.
Yeah.
It's kind of, both of you are kind of coming at it in a way that you're thinking that there's a potential that she has ill will, but you're giving her the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah, that too.
Yeah.
And I'm glad you said that point, because I get it now. I was mostly 100% her fault until this, dialogue about it.
Also, when I went from this, I feel like also like when black people go out on the street and they hear other people say it, I want other black people to know that we are accountable. You know,
I don't. That's why I don't.
No, but at the end of the day, we are still accountable for other people saying it. But at the same time, too, I don't even look at it as a race thing anymore. I look at it as if the person is generally a good person. Like I look at how people were raised, how they're raised by their parents. You know, for example, like there's white people out there that were raised, and you know they're not saying Republic or Democrat even counts about that, but like they grew up very liberal. Their parents are very caring, so when they go out in the world and they see that, they probably won't say it because they know what the meaning behind it, and they won't say it. They might say it in a song though, because the song sounds nice. They don't. When they say it, they don't have the intent to hurt someone else. Yeah. But then there's other people that really. There's even black people that grew up non-liberal, and they look at their own people in disgust. You know what I'm saying? It's like. There's also black people like a bunch of Uncle Ruckuses out there. You know what I'm saying? Like
I'll say this though. When you say we should take accountability, I get your point in the sense of if an artist has in their lyric accountability in the sense that they have fans that are white that will say that. But I will never agree with saying that I should take accountability. No. If I say that your girlfriend or her friends or my white friends say that's on them. You have a choice to say it or not. And you also know the intent that it would have behind it.
Yeah,
that's just my opinion.
Actually take it back, man. Like, even if you're in a rap song, you can skip the word if you know it'll help people. If you know like there's a, because if they say like your mother, like they say like your mother's a bitch or something, you're not gonna say the same thing because I'm singing a song. You're gonna not say your mother's name. And you want to sing the song because you like the artist. You're gonna skip that part. Yeah. So if you should be able to also skip the N word and say something else, say hit or say something else. Like it's an option. It's not like we're saying you have to. Kendrick says that you have to sing exactly the words. Like you can also say another word.
And and I think because of that, what he said, and you just said if I grew up a certain way, I knew that was the wrong word growing up. In any setting, then that should be the case, even in music. If I know I shouldn't say it at all, then why should I give the excuse of music?
Because even if the rappers say
I feel like the context. But it depends on.
But you
context.
also said too, growing up, like say I grew up in a drug environment, and the hip hop is all about really speaking your truth.
Yeah.
About how you grew up. Nobody likes an artist that's faking his bullshit.
Yeah.
So why would I, if I'm a fan, like I may like the music, but why would I sing parts that I don't relate to, especially the word?
Because then why like the artist at all?
Yeah, like
you have the choice to pick a different word.
You can't
saying the N word doesn't necessarily mean not saying the N word doesn't mean like you don't like the artist or you don't
But at the same time,
and it doesn't take too much work.
Think about it. If we had to listen to music where it has to be like, oh, I gotta listen to this song, but I can't say these few parts. Why even listen to this?
No, I'm just saying, but it's not just one word.
It could be, for example,
it's kind of like diluting what the artist made in the first place. In my opinion.
In your opinion, okay.
Yeah, like we all have different opinions.
Yeah. So, but you don't
like that YG song on the radio. How would they say my hit it? Like the whole song.
It's not the same.
It's not the same.
It really makes that big of a difference for you.
No, bro. It really
was the same.
As a person that mixes music and makes music, it really makes a difference.
Okay. And I'm not going to validate your guys' point. That's what I love. I like that we actually have different opinions on this because, like he said, to me, I feel like now you're black though.
Yeah,
you're black.
Yeah.
If this was a white person, since I feel, and I do, we will have white listeners listen to this. I feel that some people might say that's too much work, and I don't think it takes away from the song, but I think if you would not cuss, because the word nigga is a cuss word, by the way. Yeah. It is a cuss word. It's not a clean word.
Yeah.
There's a reason why it's edited on radio.
Yeah.
So if you would not even say curse words in the office saying fuck or, this is bullshit or Sherry's being an asshole, you would also not say that.
But it depends on the office too, because
I
work. Look at this. It does. I work in the radio industry. Everyone's cursing.
Not on air.
Not on air. No, not on air because that there's things in place.
You are right though.
But in my boss, bro. We made a bet we made my boss put $1 in a jar for every time he says the F word. Steve. Steve. You see Steve. We made him put $1 and he curses all the time. So it's like not every office is like that. And my office, CBS is Democratic. We're a Democratic station. So and his wife, for example, my boss's wife, she is Haitian. and he loves his wife, and his children are black and white. So he's very down with my culture. But like you said, he doesn't still say it because he respects, like me and like.
Plus, his wife maybe not.
Exactly.
His wife,
say that. I don't know what's going on at home. So
exactly.
I don't know what. Like, so he respects that side. But at the same time, when I hear him talk, he's Italian. When I hear him talk, he sounds black.
And Aaron, not clear up, but you're basically. And correct me if I'm wrong, you've also kind of, because your point of view is the cultural side. Mine is the race.
Yeah.
You're kind of also assuming that all black people said that growing up. Or a part of a community like that.
It depends. It depends. Like, I wouldn't say.
That's one thing I also don't want white people to think like, all black people came from like the hood and
shit.
That's a whole other discussion we can have another day.
Because I'm not going to say that because I'm saying it from where I grew up.
Okay.
As these are based on my experience.
Okay.
This is what this is about. I don't want any white people out there thinking like that all black people grew up in East New York. We all said the word because not all black people have grown up in East New York. I grew up I was born in Queens, moved straight to Flatbush. Grew up in Flatbush. Flatbush was very dangerous. My house got robbed 4 times. So my dad's records, my mom's jewelry. Then after I moved from there, I moved to the Paddocks. Still a bad place. Then I finally moved to the Hundreds in Canarsie, which is a better place, but it's not the greatest. I mean, for us to get to the city, we still got to walk through the hood, right? Like, so, you know what I'm saying? I've never completely got away from that, that place. So, and the kind of kids we grew up, Chris and everybody, like, most of the kids, they were in colors, like, when I was growing up. So, it's a very different vibe. So, growing up playing basketball in 211 Park with a bunch of Crips in the back smoking weed and, everyone saying the word nigga, like, that was cool, but at the same time, like, that's how I grew up.
Yeah.
So, there was other white kids in that situation. There's a bunch of white kids in our neighborhood, and you would see these kids, and you would be like, wow, this is like mind fuck. Like, but at the same time, I don't look at them when they said the N-word. I never looked at them like, yo, like, what are you doing? It was more like, yo, we were all from the same neighborhood. My dad knows your dad. Your mom knows my mom. You know Randy down the street. You've lived here all your life. Who am I to say like? You're not from our culture, but at the same time, you're right. Not every black person has grown up like that. So, like, you know what I'm saying? It's different. It's different experiences. This is just my experience.
Yeah, and I'm glad we talked about that and you clarified it because it was a great reminder for me to remember that everything we're saying is from our own experience. Right. We're not generalizing anything.
Yeah. Even with music, like you said with the music, it's their experiences. So I can understand them speaking their truth. But as an artist or as any public figure, I feel like you have a duty now. Like we look at you in a different light. You motivate people in a certain way. Like growing up, I wanted to be like Fab and T.I. You know what I'm saying? Like they're saying the word nigga. T.I.'s wearing baggy clothes. T.I.'s wearing his hat off. So what am I gonna do if I want to be like I'm gonna do the same thing? So like as a kid, like that's very motivational for me. So like I feel like if they were talking about suits and ties very early. I probably wear a suit and tie too. You know what I'm saying? So like I feel like if you know that and as an artist you want to get big, you have like, for example, Drake knows he has influence on the world. So like if Drake started singing about a certain type of thing and started promoting that, I feel like a lot of kids in his audience would gravitate towards that. So if Drake was like, yo, I'm not gonna say the word nigga anymore, a lot of people would probably stop saying the word nigga. You know what I'm saying? Like I feel like if it really affected, like, you know what I'm saying, if it really affected Drake and Drake got a lot of flack about it, and if he really wanted to make a change, it would help. But most of Drake's best songs have the word nigga in it. 10 bands, all the songs that he performed at that concert when I went, he was saying nigga to every song. And there was a bunch of white people in that Barclays Center. I'm not going to get, you know what I'm saying, I'm not going to turn around and run to every white person in that center and handcuff them like, like, you can't say the word nigga, you can't say the word nigga, like.
Here's a fine.
Yeah, but I feel like if Drake, if we want to, stop it, then we should, like, look up to the people who are famous or people, like, that are in charge, not in charge, but, like, have, like, a really big impact on the way other people think. You know what I'm saying?
I think, just going off your point about the artists, I feel like the artists as individuals, they make a certain kind of person gravitate towards them as individuals. Yeah. So like someone like Tory Lanez is gonna attract more Tory Lanez type characters. Someone like Drake is gonna attract more Drake type characters. Yeah. Someone like Michael Jackson would attract more Michael Jackson type characters. And as he's getting pushed more and more up into the culture, more people are gonna start understanding is like, oh, this Michael Jackson guy, all these guys are acting like Michael Jackson now. Maybe there's something about this Michael Jackson guy that's actually kind of cool about Michael Jackson. And like, just like Tory Lanez has that kind of, people like Tory Lanez are pushing him up into the culture. People like Drake are pushing him up into the culture. People like A$AP Rocky are pushing him up into the culture. I think those people are just gonna be how they're gonna be, regardless of any of the cultural, political, racist, any of that stuff. I feel like they're just gonna be like that.
What's the common thing between all of them, though? They all say the word nigga. And they're all, you know what I'm saying? They're all in charge.
I know Michael Jackson.
No, I'm saying that's the common thing to all. They all say the word nigga. Like, so it's like, as soon as they all, like, we're putting all these people on pedestals, as soon as all those people that we look up to, like, try to, like, don't inhibit the word nigga anymore, then we'll make a change.
But so, I feel like as individuals,
but at the same time, you're right.
Like,
that's not speaking your truth anymore. Yeah,
exactly. And also, it's like, I don't think it's realistic to think that all of these individual people that grew up in all these different circumstances are just gonna stop because one person says they're gonna stop.
But the thing is, you can still be, you know, for example, like Cole did a complete 360. Like how when J. Cole first came out, look how J. Cole is now. He doesn't wear chains anymore. He's not mainstream. Doesn't make mainstream music for the masses anymore. He's like, this is who I am. I want to do this. He doesn't want to promote this anymore. Like, you look at J. Cole. J. Cole doesn't he doesn't like come across as like the typical artist anymore, because he was like, yo, I don't think that's cool. I want to do this, and he's still up there. You still hold him up there.
But he started off that way, got up there, and he has the ability to do what you're saying.
But I'm saying all these people are here now. So if Drake did a complete 360, we're not going to be like, we're not listening to Drake anymore. We're still going to listen to him.
Well, I think it depends on the person.
We're still going to listen to the number one artist in the world right now.
So my question to end as the last round to this. One, do you think it is even possible to be able to, for an artist or as a culture of hip hop and rap, or black movies or whatever, to share, we should take a stand as a group and never use this word at all? Or do you think it's more likely that it actually becomes a word that everybody ends up using before we die? Does that make sense? Like, do you think it'll be so ingrained in our culture as just people that white people will be even able to say it, nobody will ever have a problem with it? Like, I'm starting to think that's more likely. I
honestly don't think it's likely because even if it's not the word nigga, there are so many other words that if you go through, like if you have a theater of 1,000 people, there's gonna be one person that is gonna be offended by something that you say.
That's my point of why.
So there's nothing. As much as possible, this is what I believe. I believe that you should just say what is true. Try and be as respectful as possible. Don't go out of your way to just be a negative asshole, and just say what is actually how you feel, and just deal with the consequences of that. Because there's gonna be someone that doesn't like what you say. Mm-hmm. There's gonna be someone that doesn't like how you look. There's gonna be someone that just like doesn't like you for some reason. Yeah. But you can't just go around worrying about what other people think. Just speak from your mind. Don't be an asshole, and fucking deal with the consequences.
Sure, man. Do you finally have something to say? What's your name and age?
The word's not going away. Just like Tobelliot said, there's really nothing to add now. He's so damn eloquent. Just the power of the word. That's the one that I think will potentially change in the future, is if how much people care, how much black people care about it being used by minorities. But the word definitely not gonna be abolished or just gonna be. It's gonna fall out. It'll always be there.
Okay.
Yeah. No, I agree. I don't think the word's going away.
The reason I asked too is if you think it would be more likely that it becomes ingrained, is because I've seen.
Don't you really feel like it's already ingrained?
So that's what I was getting to. That's what I was getting to, because I've seen shows where there's a white guy that ends up saying it. There's a couple of mainstream shows that I've said it recently. I'm forgetting the
Power.
No.
I don't know if they did them. Did they have Power?
Tommy, what we thought you said it.
Yeah, he didn't say it. No, but there was a show that a white guy said in both. I'm forgetting that in movies too now. So that's why I'm asking. Like,
Atlanta.
Was that Atlanta?
These Django.
They did it in the first episode. The guy that he pays to
Oh,
put his
yes,
song,
that's
Paperboy
right.
song on the radio
Yes,
says
yes.
it. He says it to him when he's by himself, and when Paperboy is in the car with him, he doesn't say it.
Yep.
Right.
Thank you.
So there
That
are people
leads to
like
mine.
that.
No, but,
Yeah.
but
People
now
like
I'm
that,
saying
but
now,
there are
now
also people that would not do that because they know it's just vindictive.
no, but now I'm saying if that guy, if he has to act like that, then he shouldn't say it at all.
That's
Right.
my point.
No, that's why I agree with you.
And then when you say white listeners though in rap music,
no, exactly.
but you're saying music is just different. Is what you're saying.
But
You're
I'm saying if I feel like now, see, the intent is different. See, like when we're all at a, like him being at a concert is different from him being alone with an artist, not knowing who this person is, not like knowing his background, not knowing how is he gonna feel. But at a concert where we're all singing and like no one's even paying attention to the person next to them and we're just focused on the artist, completely different scenario, completely different setting. So, but I'm saying with the event it is different, but like in conversation, I feel like that is more of a conversational thing. That's more of like a intimate, like they're close to each other, they're in the same car by themselves, they're around no one else. Now in conversation that's different. If you're not gonna, if a white person's not gonna say the word N-word in conversation with me, if he's gonna say it with his boys, and not say it with me, then you should say that at all. You know what I'm saying? That's not, because then now I'm being like, I'm not even mad at you for saying the N-word. I'm mad at you for not being who you are around me.
Or are you happy with them because they have the respect not to say in front of you? Because in my opinion, let's be honest, and I'm sure we all have white friends that may not say in front of us, but we also not gullible enough to think that they don't say it with their friends.
I'd rather him say it in front of me. I'd rather him say it to me, and then if I feel a way about it, we can talk about it.
But some people aren't ready to be in that conversation.
That happened to me at Springfield, bro.
No, I'd rather him say it in front of me, because like the fact, if I would be more annoyed if like I saw a video of him saying it,
of course,
with someone else, and then when we talk, he doesn't say it with me. I'd rather him say it to me, and then we can talk about it. Like, okay, I don't like that, but at the same time, I feel like the way I like, if I really know who you are and I know your intent, and I know you talk a certain way, and I feel like, okay, it sounds a little bit familiar. Okay, that's different. But at the same time, if you're not saying it with me, and then I'd rather you say it so we can talk about it, I'd be like, I don't like when you say that word.
So, Sho, do you want to talk about what you were just into that something during grad school?
Yeah, so I'm driving to a kickback, a party with the all white, all Caucasian men in the car, and there's actually one female who, when there's music playing, she's like, "Pow, pow," saying the word. I'm like, yeah, you come on, chill out, Rachel. That's not her name. You know, bucket of white names.
Yeah.
So I'm like, yo, chill out. So the dude in the front, who won't have a name, he's a good guy, but when I'm like reprimanding Rachel, he turns around, he's like, yo, you don't like that, my nigga?
And he like, see white?
Yeah.
Wow.
So like, well, he didn't like, again, like this happened like a little while ago, so I'm like, don't even remember exact details, but I remember he said it, and everyone was like, whoa.
But see, like even like in that situation, look at it. The intent from both of them was completely different. Like when she said it, she was enjoying the song. When he said it,
was taunting.
It sounds like he was taunting you. Yeah.
But she knew what she was doing. Like everyone else is singing the song. Like I know that when they're in the house by themselves, of course they're probably saying the word, but they know like, all right, Sho's here. Let me chill. But she's like, well, Chance the Rapper says it. Like, yo, come on, son. Like, don't, like, we're just trying to enjoy the ride. Like, don't exploit or take advantage of the situation. But anyway, so this dude, he says it, and I was like, I'm not very confrontational, so I was like, oh, that happened. So he felt really, really bad. Like,
I mean, I assume he would. Like, come on.
So like, we get to the party, and I'm just like you guys were saying earlier, it's kind of ruined your night. So I was like, but like, I think I was making myself have a bad night because I'm like, if I don't wear that it bothered me enough to like be visible, then it made me feel like it's okay by me not reacting.
But you also know it's hard not to keep thinking about it and feeling it.
Correct. Yeah. Like part of me was kind of passive. I'm like, he slipped out. But then the part of me was like, you know, I am the black guy here.
Yeah.
So I have to make him aware of his actions.
Exactly, and that's one thing I've learned moving up here is that there have been white people that haven't been around black people that have told them that you should not say that because this is how me or other black people you are going to be in the future with may feel.
Exactly.
And I'm understanding that now, like you were saying, it's about where grown up, where you're from, that these people probably may not have been around black people to tell them that. And not to give an excuse, but it makes me think, okay, unfortunately not to get into intelligence or stupidity, but they haven't been really taught the right way to not just expose, to not be smart enough not to say it, period. Because it's about to me, it's about respect, period.
So that kind of
if you know one person will be upset.
If you had a really good white friend, right, and he liked a song and he set it up and he said it in the song, would it make you feel better if he actually asked you, "Is it okay if I can sing it in the song when we go to the concert?" If he before you guys got the concert, he was like, "Is it cool?" Like I usually sing the whole song.
So is your question, would I allow him more because he asked that?
But because he asked, but at the same time, you grew up with this kid.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying this some random. You said, you, let's go to the concert together. Get in the car.
Step one,
drive.
Step one, get the ticket. Step two,
sounds like you kidnapped him.
Kidnap him and give him a ticket.
So I've had this conversation this summer with my best friend who is white.
Got it.
And then my other friend who's Latino and Italian.
Got it.
But he identifies, I believe, as white. I've had this conversation with them, and it was a great conversation because we're finally all on the same page. They've never said it. When the songs come up, my best friend's favorite music is rap and R&B, especially R&B. Gosh.
And this is the white friend or the Latino
white friend, yeah. Right. And we had this conversation. It was a great conversation. He understood where I come from, and he had similar thoughts growing up, and he was brought up that way too by his parents.
But I say brought up, he was brought up liberal, or
Well, it has nothing to, in my opinion, has nothing to do with the political.
Well, not political, but was he it was a certain
morals
way?
And all that. I mean, I think his parents his dad has passed, but his parents were, I believe, the same party. I believe. I don't remember. I can't remember. But anyways, to answer your question, that would never happen because since I've grown up, I will never. You know how friends come it's about quality now instead of quantity. Growing up now, I do not surround myself with people who even give me the glimpse of showing me that they're going to be ignorant, not just about race, but about anything.
Got it.
I can have guy friends that are sexist. I won't even give them the time to really be friends with them unless I see it powerful enough or I'm able to enough to change their view, like how to have a dialogue like this. So I don't think I would ever have a friend that would put me in that position. I have cut off friends like that in college, and some of them still trying to reach out to me, but I don't say anything back. I don't make that effort because it's about the quality of friendship. Because you know who we surround ourselves with? People looking in, they associate you with them. So say Tobe or Cole were assholes outside of this. When we go out and people know them, they're automatically going to think I'm an asshole.
Got it.
So I make sure to not even put myself in that position like the scenario we presented.
Got it.
That's just me. Other people could have a different opinion though. Bassey, I don't know if you had a white friend and they asked you, hey.
No, none of my white friends have ever asked me that. But
it's an interesting question. Or if a girlfriend, or a significant other, that would be even more interesting.
Like a significant other?
How would you feel if your boyfriend, Bassey, if he was white, we're going to a concert after a year in, everything is beautiful, and he said, you know what, this concert, we never talked about this before.
It would have come up in conversation before you guys are driving to a concert. Let's just be real.
Yeah. I would hope so.
But the thing is, or
what if their boyfriend's friend then? How about the boyfriend's friend?
I'm going to be honest, I've been to, at least 6 concerts with my girlfriend, and she's white. And all the concerts we've been to are predominantly black. We've seen Meek Mill, we've seen Drake, we've seen Kyle.
Drake is not predominantly black.
Come on, he says nigga in a lot of
No, the audience. The audience.
No, but when I say predominant, I mean the artists, not necessarily the artists. All the concerts we've seen all the artists we've seen this year have all been black. I'm trying to think of anyone else we've seen. Yeah, and you know what's funny? My girlfriend is different. She is very into she's all about our culture. She loves she's very into reading about it, Black Lives Matter. So she doesn't say it at all because she knows the history behind it. So I don't have. So we never got into that situation. So I think it depends on your significant other.
I like to get a female perspective on this though. Say your boyfriend or his brother, you guys were going to a concert and the brother was like, "Hey, Bassey, just out of curiosity," because Sho has a point. You probably would have talked about that before you guys even got there.
Well, my ex, he was black, but his best friend was white and is very you know, all about the culture, saggy pants, like long chain.
Got it. Well, that's
You know.
it's way into it.
He's all about that, and so, but he would say that all the time around my ex, and like whenever I was there too. But,
okay.
But like for me, like I had a conversation with my ex about it, and was just like, well, how does that work? Like, and for him, that's been his best friend since like they were in kindergarten. So like for him, it wasn't a big deal for him to say the word. But like it bothered me, so he stopped saying it when I was around. But like for my ex, like it wasn't a big deal. Like I don't know, I feel like it's the relationship too, like the people that you associate yourself with. Like you said that.
So
you know,
because it was not a big deal to your boyfriend, you were okay with this? What you're saying?
No, I wasn't okay with it. So I had the conversation with my ex, not with his friend.
But did he stop saying it around you? After
He stopped saying it around me.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you have the conversation is the point. Okay.
Right. So I had the conversation, but
Okay.
I can't necessarily speak to if I was with someone who was.
In my opinion,
whatever.
I think when people have said it and then they stop saying it around you when you say something about it, they're still thinking in that same way.
Yeah.
You can. I think this is just coming from my experience. I think it would be arrogant of me to think that I could say something to someone and that would change how they behave.
Naive.
Yeah, I'm not saying
because
that.
I feel like
in front of you though. Is
exactly.
what we're saying.
Yeah.
So I think if they did it in front of me and then I said something about it and they don't do it in front of me, they're still
doing it.
kind of doing it. I'm just not seeing it, and it's almost like, for me, it's like a way for me to cope with it.
Yeah.
Even though it's like putting a mask over it, even though it's still there, I'm just pretending that it's not there, and that doesn't work for me. So
you'd rather just cut him off.
Yeah, I'll just cut him off.
Yeah, and yeah. It's a that's definitely an option for sure. So yeah, were you gonna say something, Bassey?
Well, I
Before we
agree.
end.
Like even though they're not saying it in front of me, like I know they're still saying it out wherever they are.
But you just care.
But for me, like if it's not around me, then it's fine. Like out of sight, out of mind kind of thing.
Yeah. I get Tobey's.
Like you can't change who people are. Like if they're gonna do what they want to do anyway.
Facts.
So like even if we have this whole intervention, and then they're like, okay, like I'm never gonna say that again. But like it's still gonna be at the back of their mind. Like it's
And
not,
maybe even more
exactly
after you bring it up.
because it's you want something that's forbidden and whatnot. But yeah.
So guys, before we wrap it up and call it a time, I think we spent a lot of time. It sounds like we have a lot of us, at least I can speak for myself, I've grown from this conversation in terms of understanding other perspectives about the cultural aspect versus the racial. I think it sounds like none of us are okay with it conversationally, but some of us are okay with it musically. And I'm growing to that a bit. I'm not trying to give, and I don't want to give my white friends listening the permission though. Yeah. That's the other thing.
Shit. Chill out, B. Black card.
Yeah.
Still in black card.
But is any that was a good story. But does anybody else have anything they want to add before we call this a wrap? Besides saying the word right. Think before you speak.
Yeah, that's it. Think before you speak. You speak your truth, but think before you say your truth.
Yeah.
Right.
And be aware of the people around you before you say your truth.
And know your potential consequences. That there are consequences.
And if you're still gonna say it anyway, be ready to deal with whatever comes with after that.
You always have a choice.
So that could be losing a friend because of that. Then you was ready for that.
Repeat that.
You always have a choice. You don't have to say it because everyone else is saying it because it's in the song. It's still a choice you have to make.
Mm-hmm. And knowing that you have to live with that too.
Yeah.
All right, y'all. This is for Cleicious Clap or whatever that guy brushing his hair in the back's name was. For Aaron, Cassius Clay, Aaron, Cole, Tobey, and Bassey, all Nigerians here. Happy Black Friday. Thank you for listening. And for Nedu, thank you for listening for the Nebraska Gentleman. And hopefully you grew from this like we all did. Kachifo.